Hi, welcome to This Week in Property. I'm Jayashree Kurup, I'm editor MBTV. I have with me Prabhakar Sinha, he's the real estate editor of the Times of India. We recently read that the developer loans the government of India, the finance ministry, has asked the RBI to consider rolling over the loans. What does a rollover of a developer loan mean, and how will it help you? We thought the kind of queries that we were getting from consumers, it was important that we address this issue and help you understand what this means to you as a consumer. Prabhakar, first of all, what does a developer loan rollover mean?
Yeah, this is a very important issue and very critical also. And this demand is there for last quite some time, more than a year in fact. And for last 3 months, even the banks are raising this issue, and banks have gone to RBI to allow them to roll over or to restructure the loan of real estate players.
So let's simplify it for the consumer. A developer takes a loan from a bank to complete a project.
Yeah.
That's a project loan.
Yeah, that's a project loan.
And this project loan is serviced by the money that keeps coming in from the consumers.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Now
what happens that if that suppose the entire project is not sold out, only 50% project has been sold out or 30% project has been sold out, but the still project has to be completed.
Right.
Now in that situation, what happens that there is not enough cash flow to meet the demand from the banks or to meet the schedule of the banks to repay the loans. So what happens that loan becomes stressed, not defaulted. They have not defaulted to the bank, but they are not regular also.
So if they give the loan, if they repay their loan, they don't have money to build the project.
Yeah,
is that the problem?
They are already paying it to remain regular.
Yeah.
But they are not regular still because some quarter they miss the loan, and the banks are not putting them as a regular loan or the performing, but they are performing asset. So far, bank have not provided against that asset or that loan. So that loan is going on. It's a regular loan, but not a very A-class loan. So what happens that?
So they haven't paid a couple of installments.
Yeah.
The project itself is behind schedule.
Behind schedule. So banks are also after them.
Yeah.
So what these developers are demanding that you please reschedule the loan, so that if you reschedule the loan, then what will happen that I can take further loan to complete the project. And once the project is completed, I can sell the project also. But banks are saying it that I can't restructure the loan because if I restructure the loan, I will have to make provision for this first. Now, if they will make provision for it, then they'll have to take hit on the bottom line, from profit, because provision has to be made from the profit side.
Yes.
Banks are not ready to make any provision because that will affect their entire business cycle.
Yeah.
So banks are reluctant to do that. So banks are asking RBI to relax that norms because this is not a non-performing assets and these loans are performing and it will be repaid. That's for certain. So they are saying it, please don't make us make provision against this loan if we will allow the developer to repay the loan later on. They want to restructure that entire loan repayment.
It's almost like a topping up of a loan.
Topping up, not only topping, not
that
topping.
You don't have to repay right now. You're getting a zero period.
Yeah, not zero period also. Like you pay only the interest portion right now, and the principal portion you pay later on, or something like that. Or otherwise, you don't pay even the interest. You're ballooning up of the repayment behind the schedule. Okay, so restructure the loan from 3 years to 5 years period. So if they will do that, then that loan becomes performing, and this developer can get loan from the other banks also. What is happening that they have lot of unsold units lying. They want to raise funds by mortgaging those unsold units to some other banks. But because his quality of loan, which they have already taken, is not very high, so other banks are also not giving them the loan. Because if they will give them the loan, then what will happen that RBI can hold up them also, that why have you given the loan, because the loan he was not a performing asset itself. So this is a catch-22 situation. And sorry, what happened that now it's a very critical issue. Now banks, people are saying that banks must do business also with the developer or with any other developer or promoters to make the company perform so that they can repay the loan, not today then tomorrow with interest. Because it will be in the interest of country also, bank also, and that developer also. Now suppose what happens that if that today bank doesn't restructure that entire loan, then they will become NPA, and bank will also not get back their money, and the buyers will not get their this house, and at the same time the job creation will also stop. Everything will go.
So Prabhakar, does every developer get a rollover option?
Most of them want that, because what has happened that the sale is very slow. What they had expected that the kind of a money come from the sale of the project, that has not come. So they are not able to complete or construct the project with the time schedule which they had planned earlier, and with which they had thought that they will repay the loan of the bank also. So everything has gone haywire because of the market.
Previously, there was once before we've had a rollover of developer loans in 2009. Again, when the market tanked, there was a provision that was given to developers. How did that perform?
Then they came out. All of them have come out.
Yeah.
And then after what happened that most of the projects got completed also, and the banks also get their money back, and that is why in the real estate sector NPA is less than sub 2%. Whereas the NPA in other sector is still 10% to 12%.
Okay. So consumers, just to make it simpler for you, your developer has taken a loan from a bank to complete the project, to execute the project. Some part of the money that you give every time one stage of construction is reached, that money is used in two ways. It goes to service the loan that the developer has taken. It also goes to completion of the project. Today, because the sales, when regular sales are happening, when the consumers are paying regularly, this is something that is sufficient to help the project be completed.
Complete with the bank loan service properly.
Today, because the sales are very slow, and many consumers, because the project has slowed down, many consumers have stopped paying, either because they themselves are finding it difficult to get their loans because of the NBFC crisis and so on, or because you feel that the developer is not completing it, and there is a negative sentiment.
In the construction and all that. Yes. So the buyers are also not.
Buyers are also not giving. Today, the developer is in a quandary. Should he complete the project or should he repay the loan? There is not enough money in the system for both. So then the developer is today has asked the finance ministry, can this rollover be allowed, a one-time rollover, so that the developer gets a breather to complete the project and hand over. Now, why is this good for you? Because in the RERA regime, a developer cannot help but complete the project. Earlier, if the rollover was given, the risks were far higher. Today, the risks are lower.
Yeah, now look, what I want to say here, that bank knows that there is enough money in this project. Their loan is safe. Only thing is this, that repayment schedule has to be rescheduled.
Right.
The repayment has to be rescheduled. Now, if that is done, then everything will become fine. Project will be completed, bank will get back its loan, buyer will get back its house, and all the things will continue, job creation, economic performance, everything will continue. So it is good for everybody. Only thing is this, that normally what happens, that if suppose money has been siphoned off or something like that has happened, then the bank say that because money has siphoned off, some criminal activity has already happened, so we should not fund it. So that is their criteria of thinking.
Right.
But how to measure it? If you will do that, then it will take a lot of time. By then the entire project will go far.
Right. In fact, here I would like to tell you that you as consumers are also in a catch-22 situation. But you must understand the ground realities. We spoke to Maharera chairman Gautam Chatterjee, and we said the same thing. Today, everybody is helping the developer complete the project. But like Prabhakar said, there have been some problems where money has been siphoned out, it has been used to buy other land, which was not illegal at that point of time. You could use this money to buy more land. But the point is that the project, for various reasons, has slowed down. But one thing that Mr. Chatterjee said, which I would like to reiterate here, he said that whatever happens today, the first aim is to get the project completed so that you as consumers get your houses in hand. After that, whether it is by sale of the excess units, whether it is by doing forensic audits and bringing back money that went into other activities, the idea is that let the project be complete as the first point, and then let's make sure that everything else is sorted out.
Here I'll highlight one issue. It's very systemic in our entire real estate sector. Normally what happens that if any project goes to the ground, before that the developer, the project implementer, has to ensure a financial closure. That where from the money will come to complete that entire project. The name of the banks who is going to funding, their entire loan agreement and everything comes forward. And then only they go for and they launch a project. In the real estate sector, what happens that these developers depends on from the buyer's money a substantial amount to complete the project. Now issue is this, that earlier, as per our experience earlier, now most of the money used to come from the buyer side by second year of the completion of the project itself, because that project is to be sold out. Now all the plan is made accordingly. Okay. Now from 2015 onwards or 2014, 13, 14 onwards, this is not happening. Now the project is not getting sold completely. So money gets stuck in the project itself. Money has not come out. Now in that situation, these buyers, these developers had taken loan from the banks to complete the project. Now issue is this, that there is not enough money coming out. The cash flow is not sufficient to repay the loan also, to service the loan also, and to complete the project also. So this is a big issue. Now only thing is this, so first of all, now here what I believe that RERA must ensure now that before launching a project, all these developers must achieve a financial closure. And only after that the project should be launched. Now if that is the situation, then this kind of situation will trigger. But then the issue is this, that today even banks have allowed them. Banks have given only partial loan. Otherwise, normally what happens that banks also gives loan only after a project achieves financial closure. But when the banks have given the loan without achieving the financial closure, then they must have some remedy. They must chip in now to get the project completed. And if that doesn't happen, then the buyers will also suffer because their projects are not. Now suppose a buyer has bought one flat. Now he is responsible for one flat. Now he is paying money, but the other unit have not been sold. That is not this buyer fault. But for that, this buyer will also not get their flat.
So it's actually a systemic problem which we are dealing with. Let's go to some of the queries that have started coming. Arun Kumar of Noida, what exactly is a loan recasting and how does it impact the builder or buyer as such? That is what we've already discussed, Arun. I hope you've heard it, or you can come back to us and ask the question if you haven't understood. Jeetu Sharma of Mumbai says, when a builder is defaulted on a loan, can they apply under the scheme? How does it impact the buyers who have bought in his project but are not able to get the project completed?
Now, he has not defaulted as yet. Only thing is this, that he has delayed his payment.
Couple of payments have been.
Couple payments. If he suppose if he banks declares him as a defaulted, then bank has to provide for. And the moment the provision has to be made, that loan will be declared as the NPA or semi-NPA, and then the bank's cost goes up substantially, which banks doesn't want. That's why the banks in existing provisions, banks are reluctant to make any kind of a this rollover or the restructuring of the loan.
And this is where, even the government can't command the banks to do anything. Banks report to the RBI. The RBI is considering the whole issue, but they have not issued any directive.
Banks have requested. State Bank Chairman MD Rajneesh Kumar is on record saying this, that the loan should be, the real estate loan should be restructured.
Many banks, in fact, when they've come on our shows, have said that sometimes it is just an additional 25 crore if they give to complete a project, they would be able to recover up to 250, 300 crore because the project gets completed. Now, because this 25 crore they are not allowed to give because of a slowdown in the payment schedule, and that is where this loan rollover will help.
I know one example, now because of this slowdown, that developer was not able to sell their project completely. So the banks realized it that this developer is stressed. So he not only from his working capital money, he said that the 9 crore was the working capital. He replenished the working capital with another 5 crore rupees. Bank took the 5 crore rupees and said that now your this working capital is only 4 crore. Now this developer is saying that Baba, I want to complete the project. Now you have taken away my working capital. How will I do the project now?
Right.
The banks are saying that no, we want to play safe.
Yeah.
Now this is not playing safe. This is basically that putting entire project in the jeopardy.
Right. And if you jeopardize projects from the economy to the developer to the banking system to the consumers, everybody is suffering. And remember that 1 rupee invested in real estate brings almost 73 to 76 paise back into the system because there are so many forward and backward linkages. And that is what you need to do. Let's take Naresh Kumar of Gurugram. How exactly do you recast a loan of a builder who is a defaulter? Again, we're telling you, we're not talking about defaulters, we're talking about developers who have been slow in making 1 or 2 payments.
And rescheduling the repayment.
Yes. But he intends to complete the project but not able to do so due to money scarcity. That's exactly why rollover should be there.
Exactly. And rollover means the rescheduling of the repayment. Not we are saying that, okay, you make provision, you waive off certain loan amount. No, nothing that. Not even the interest rate should come down. But only penalty should not be put on them and it should be rescheduled only.
There's Vijay Kumar of Delhi who says, how does this be implemented? Who will give approval and what is the process of getting this done by the builder?
Only thing is this, that today the only bank will do it. But if bank will do it today, they will have to declare that loan first non-performing. And if they will declare that loan non-performing, then they will have to make provision. Make provision means that they will have to take a hit. They will say that, okay, now out of this entire loan, say 1,000 crore loan, 250 crore is lost. So only 750 crore is left. So 250 crore from his bottom line, from his profitability or from his net worth will be deducted. So that will affect their entire business cycle. So what banks are saying that don't force us to make provision for this rolling over or for this restructuring of the loan. The bank is asking just for that. Once suppose RBI allows it, then banks will do this and the same loan will continue. Only thing is this, that repayment schedule will be changed. Now in the repayment, that the what it is front loading, that will be made the backloading. So okay, then don't repay the principal amount right now, repay the principal amount later. Right now you just pay the interest kind of a thing. So some restructuring is done. That is at the negotiation between the developer and the banks.
Right now the details are not known because this whole process of rollover has to get an okay.
Yeah, it's case to case.
Yeah.
Every bank and the repayment schedule has to be fixed, which is the fixed even today by the banks and the developer only.
There's Kiran Goswami of Mumbai who says, does it mean 2 loans given to a developer? What if this also is defaulted by the developer? Will there be no 2 loans on the same builder? How will he service the 2 loans?
No. Now look, now when the bank has taken 1 loan and the other banks comes to give the loan, then the consent from the first bank is also taken, and then a consortium kind of a thing is formed, and then only the loans are given. So it's not that the term and condition, if they change for one bank, it will change for the other bank also. So it goes like that.
And remember that today there is a regulator, the RERA, which is watching over the development process. So the development process does not change, and also there is an escrow account which into which the money goes so that you have to complete the project on time.
Exactly.
Priya Singh of Faridabad says, will the recasting of loans be done on project basis or developer basis?
Project basis.
Each project has is a separate entity for the rollover.
Yeah, exactly. The loan is given to the project, to the developer, but on the project only.
Yes.
So that project, the loan on that project has to be restructured. And by the time the project is completed, the loan repayment schedule should be over. Or if not, then the unsold unit should be there, which is given as a mortgage to the bank and something like that. So the bank's loan is secured. Nobody is saying that bank's loan should be put on the risk. Nobody is saying that. Only thing is this, that banks should become a bit more active to get this stressed loan right now to become more performing. So that is what everybody is talking about.
Sheena Kaur of Gurugram says, is the recasting scheme only for developers who are financially sound? What about the developers who have no funds to complete projects?
That the stressed asset fund has declared for that.
Yes. That actually today there are various kinds of projects and various kinds of developers. If you've been following us on our shows, what we have done is every policy that is coming out, which can help potentially complete projects, we have been addressing it as a separate issue. You do know that the government of India has announced a stress fund. We did a couple of shows on that as well. The stress fund, stressed assets fund, is for those companies where there is a stress on the entire project.
Loan has been defaulted as yet, declared NPA. Everything has happened.
But with a little bit of money, if it is still cash flow positive, which means that there is consumer receivables, you have to pay the developer for next installments. If there is unsold inventory which can be sold and monetized, if there is excess land which can be sold and help complete this project, those are the cash flow positive projects. Those can get stress funds. But there are many developers who are not stressed. They have not been declared NPAs. They have slowed down a couple of payments because there is a capital adequacy issue. But it doesn't mean that they are not able to sell it. They will be able to sell it when it is completed. They will also be able to sell it when consumers like you start making your payments after each stage of construction is reached. But in that entire process, when you give the money, you want that money to be used to complete the project, not only to service the debt. And therefore, that debt needs to be pushed back a little bit till the project is complete. And that's what the rollover is.
Definitely. And this is very required. Yeah. If suppose RBI doesn't do it, banks doesn't allow, bank doesn't go for restructuring, then many of the projects which is performing today will become again stalled.
Right. And the more projects that are stalled, the deeper the economy will be mired in problems. You need to complete the stressed assets.
Exactly.
And one of the campaigns that we have been running at MBTV is #CompleteStuckProjects. Whatever it takes, if you complete a project and pull it out of the red, the economy benefits.
Everybody will benefit.
Yes.
And even the banks loan will go. Now today in the stalled projects, banks are the biggest sufferers.
Yes, absolutely.
Banks are the biggest sufferers.
And in many cases, remember that it's not that banks were not at fault, developers were not at fault, you as consumers were not at fault. What has gone in the past, everyone accepts and it will be corrected. But the most important thing is that to get out of this mess, you need to complete the project.
It was a systemic failure, complete systemic failure. So everybody will have to work to get out of that. Right. And then you'll have to put your entire system at the right track, so that such things should not get repeated now in future.
And the creation of organizations like RERA has been to correct the system. Yeah. RERA is the regulator which is only for the real estate company. If a developer has willfully defaulted, there is an NCLT which is saying that let's get this all his projects back on track so that we can restructure and get it into a working entity again. So there are many ways in which this can be solved. One of the things that could not be solved was that when the loan is there, if the money comes, if they have to first service the debt, then it is a problem. And that is where the developers have gone back and said, give us a rollover so that we can complete the projects. Saurabh Katyar, I think there is Nitin Kumar who said, what is this loan rollover? Nitin, I hope you have understood what this loan rollover is. That is exactly what we have been discussing in the last
rescheduling of the repayment. That is what the rollover means.
Saurabh Katyar of Kolkata says, in Kolkata, many projects are in distress. How will it help this market? Will this be done in Kolkata as well?
Yeah, obviously. If it has to be done, it has to be done on all India basis. Kolkata is not outside India.
It is just that I think Kolkata does not have a RERA yet.
Doesn't matter.
But I don't think this is linked to RERA.
Yeah.
Nitin Kumar says, but why these developers are not having money when they took away even a penny from buyers? The money that is given, many buyers like you have not even paid. There are many buyers who have not paid, not because you are willful defaulters either, because you've seen that the next stage of the project has not happened. there were issues of when NBFC crisis, where the money to complete the project used to come from various sources.
Yeah.
All those sources have dried up.
Not only that, Jayashree, well, suppose only 50% of the project is sold. So the money from the only 50% sold project will come in, which is not sufficient to complete the project.
Right.
So now rest 50% is not getting sold right now because the sentiment in the market, projects has slowed down, the prices are not appreciating. So many reasons is there. But the once project is completed, then everything will start working in the right direction. So completing the project is good for everybody, even for the banks, because the banks, whatever loan banks have given, that they will get back. Or otherwise, what will happen ultimately? If the project gets stalled tomorrow, then even the buyers will stop making payment. Units will not start getting sell out at all. And then what will happen? That the developer will not able to repay the loan to the banks also. The loan will become NPA. So that is not going to help anybody. Only thing is this, that banks should take proactive measures. And if they will take proactive measures, they'll have to bear a cost today. Banks are ready to play proactive role, but they are saying it that please don't penalize us for that. That is what they are asking.
The minute they declare it an NPA, they have to make provisions, which means that the bank itself is losing its capital. And that is what we can't afford in a situation of low liquidity.
And capital means, losing capital means huge for the bank, because then what will happen, that their capacity to give loan will come down. So suppose if they have given loan to a certain amount, now if suppose because of the provision their capital goes down, then they'll have to liquidate some of the asset. So then that is a huge issue. So banks are not ready to go for that. They want to delay the NPA, declaring any asset NPA. And for that measure, they will say that no, we will not go for the rollover. If RBI insists that no, you'll have to declare it NPA first to do the rollover.
There is Priyanka Singh of Noida who says, will RBI approve this as right now? The funding is a big issue and projects like Amrapali and JP are not able to complete.
Amrapali and JP is a different category.
Please understand, three big developers, Amrapali, JP and Unitech, are being monitored by a different system altogether.
Yeah. They are stalled projects.
They are stalled projects.
They are stalled projects. They are not that performing assets, but facing certain finance issue. They are not like that.
There is Nitin who asks, क्या rollover of loans home buyers के home loans का भी हो सकता है? नहीं. अभी तो नहीं. But the point you raised is very important. If a bank is not able to lend,
हो सकता है, उसमें कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. जैसे मान लीजिए कि आपने लोन लिया 2015 में या 14 में, अभी तक 6 साल में आपने लोन रिपे किया है. अब आपके वाइफ काम करनी शुरू कर दी या आपके बेटे ने काम करना शुरू कर दिया और आपको लगता है कि हमारा अभी आगे और भी 15 साल या 20 साल की नौकरी बची हुई है. आप बैंक को बोल सकते हैं कि साहब जो मैंने अभी हमारा आउटस्टैंडिंग अमाउंट बचा हुआ है, इसको हम अगले 20 साल में रिपे करते हैं, आप इस लोन को 20 साल का कर दीजिए. बैंक कर देगा, कोई दिक्कत.
और बैंक कर भी रहा है,
करता है. मैंने कराया हुआ, मैंने अपना लोन रिस्ट्रक्चर कराया. मैंने बोला कि मेरा EMI आता था 35-40 हजार, 35 हजार के आसपास में. मैंने रिस्ट्रक्चर करा के उसको करा दिया 17,000 रुपए.
And many banks are willing to work with you as a consumer so that you are able to pay back this loan.
Exactly. इसमें कोई दिक्कत
नहीं. बैंक ये नहीं चाहता कि आप एक नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट बने.
Exactly.
अगर आप में इतना दम है कि आप पे कर सकें और आप बैंक को प्रूव कर सकें, बैंक्स वर्क विथ यू टू गेट दिस.
लेकिन इसमें क्या करता है, बैंक रोल ओवर नहीं करता. बैंक आपको फ्रेश लोन दे देता है, क्योंकि होम लोन फ्रेश दिया जा सकता है और फ्रेश आप वो बैंक नहीं देगा. दूसरे बैंक के पास चले जाइए, बोले कि आप ये लोन टेक ओवर कर लीजिए और इसको 20 साल का रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल बना दीजिए. वो बैंक आपका रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल 20 साल का बना देगा और आपका EMI कम हो जाएगा.
There is Suresh Kannan of Bangalore who says this is only to complete the project or to revive the developer or his company. Does this apply on project or developer company? We already mentioned that it is on the project. You want to?
Yeah, only on the project. And it is now, if the project is completed, developer will be automatically revived. So, I mean, both are the connected. So, we can't say that it is only to complete the project, but not for the revival of the developer. I mean, that statement will not be correct. So, but the purpose of this loan or this entire system should be to complete the project.
we actually need to tell our consumers that we have noticed that developers who are serious long-term players are the ones who are left standing in this market. A lot of fly-by-night operators or people who came for short-term benefits have actually exited the market in the last 3-4 years. Either they have sold it to other developers, or they are not able to do it, and RERAs have taken it over and got consumers to build. But the developers who are there in the market today are the ones who want to remain developers. This is good for a market. Earlier, there were no entry barriers. This is good for a market. And the developers who are saying, give me a loan rollover so that I can complete projects, the intent of the market has changed from servicing investors to servicing end users and getting loans completed. And we have seen this in the market.
Exactly. And ultimately, bank's main role is to see to it that economic activity should pick up, should take off. Not that they just give the loan to take back their loan. Now rescheduling means that a bank is becoming proactive to see to it that project is completed. Now, that is good for economy also, good for the buyer, good for the bank itself and developer, everybody. So, and ultimately now see today the entire India is reeling for because of the joblessness, and I believe and this is mainly due to this kind of a condition in the real estate sector, which is the second biggest job creator after farm sector.
There is Nidhi Verma of Delhi who says, will RBI do the recasting or banks will do this? When will this be implemented and how will the projects be identified for this?
RBI is a regulator. RBI makes a system that how banks should function. RBI has said that if you will do any rollover, rescheduling of the repayment of a loan, before that you declare that loan NPA. Now, why RBI has done this? Because in other sector, what happens that the promoter of a company, they take the loan and then after they reschedule or the rollover is done basically to gloss over their book itself. So that is not the correct way to do it, and to avoid that, RBI has said that make provision, because that will make the bank reluctant to do any this kind of a thing. Now, what has happened that because of this, certain sector, particularly real estate, gets affected very badly. Now, in real estate, all the loans are having enough securities. So, loans are safe provided that security remains performing, that security remains live. Now, if suppose construction stops, then what will happen? That entire security itself will get destructed. So, here banks also want that they should play a proactive role so that project gets completed and the units which are unsold should get sold out and their money would come back. But if banks will go for it, they'll have to make provision. Now, making provision hits the bank very badly. So, no existing management of a bank will go for that. So, they are asking RBI to allow them to reschedule the loan or roll over the loan or recast the loan without making any provision. That RBI can do only. So, RBI will allow them, and then all the recast will be done by bank with consultation to these developers and all that, their book, what is their condition, whether their condition will improve in future or not. If the supposed condition is not going to improve, then certainly bank will not roll over, bank will not recast the loan. But if bank will find that the recasting will help, then bank will go for the recasting. So it is individual case. But for doing that, they say that please don't force us to make provision. That's all.
And remember, RBI, without an RBI permission, no bank can restructure.
Yeah.
And RBI is giving the permission, the banks will do the operational restructuring. Shakir Khan of Mumbai says, for recasting, will developers have to mortgage their assets?
No, assets are already mortgaged.
When they took the first loan, they have already mortgaged their assets. What they are saying is that if they extend that period, or if another bank gives the loan, the unsold units that are there in that project, those are the ones that will be
and reschedule the repayment and allow me to take further loan to get the working capital or to complete the project, and for that allow them to mortgage the existing unclaimed or existing asset which has not been mortgaged to anybody.
There is there is a breaking news here that RBI keeps repo rate unchanged at 5.15%. The repo rate has just been announced. There is Sandeep Gupta of Noida, who says, "Will it help builders who have gone NPA due to lack of funds?" It should.
No, obviously, I mean, it will help, but once it has been declared NPA, then rollover can be done. Now look, for that, the interest rate will go, penal rate will go, and so many things can happen. But after declaring NPA, things are different.
The effort right now is to make sure that less and less developers become projects become NPAs.
Exactly.
Can you revive projects and take them through to completion without pushing them into the NPA basket?
Yeah.
And that helps everybody: the developer, the lender, the consumer, and the industry and economy as well. And that is what we are looking for. I think
because once it is declared NPA, then recovery starts.
Yes.
Then they will call back their loan, they'll go to the NCLT, and so many other measures are taken.
There is Nitin Kumar who says, "क्या मैं अपने पापा के नाम चल रहे लोन को अपने नाम करा सकता हूँ?"
एकदम करा सकते।
That this is definitely possible. You just have to go and say that my father had taken the loan. Today I have a payment option, and I can help him with the payments, and it is always possible to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think more or less we've answered most of the queries that have come our way. Consumers, we had been running a poll on this channel. Deepak, if I can have the poll results, please. More than anything else, the entire effort is that the industry should again start moving. It has to move. There has to be money to get your projects completed. And more than anything, what I keep saying, hashtag complete stuck projects. There is a poll that we ran. Will one-time rollover help you to get your house? 63% said yes, 38% said no. Now, the thing is that an overwhelming majority feels that with a little bit of finance, we should be able to see projects getting completed. Prabhakar, the 38% could also be the people who are in projects which have already become NPAs. And a rollover is not the solution there. A stressed asset, there are many things that need to be fine-tuned before we understand who can get the stressed asset and how.
Yeah. The stressed asset right now, it is, government have said that, first of all, as you said it, that it should be cash positive.
Yeah.
Then only it will be given. And they have defaulted, the stalled projects are there. And the developer is ready to complete the project.
Yeah.
Now the issue is this, that and also in stressed project funding, the LIFO will be applied, that this fund will be first of.
Yeah. Last in and first out.
Yeah, first out. They will get the first refund thing.
Yeah.
And government has already the list of those 500 or 1500 odd projects which will be
1800
projects which will be given these loans. So this is and they have fixed the criteria that 400 crores maximum to one builder will be given and things like that. And I believe this is but only thing is this, that rollover should have been started by now.
Yeah.
Because if the rollover is not done, then it is getting further complicated.
That's right.
Day by day it is getting complicated.
And the sooner the rollover happens, many developers may not need the stressed asset fund. Just a little support from their own banking system, and they should be able to complete the project.
Majority of them. Right now, today, there is not only 1600 or 1800 projects which are stalled, but there are at least more than 10,000 projects right now working in this country, which everybody is stressed today mildly. And the entire thing gets stuck into that only. So if this rollover starts and banks are given some headroom to decide that how to make this particular project performing, I believe the things will improve substantially, and RBI should decide in that favorably. And I don't see there should be any problem why RBI is not doing it. I fail to understand that.
And on that positive note, that if this rollover happens, many projects can escape becoming stressed assets and can see themselves completed so that consumers like you get your houses.
Exactly.
That's where we're going to stop. Thank you for watching This Week in Property. I'm Jayashree Kurup and this is Prabhakar Sinha.